What I wanted to show you as well is the collection tool which runs in the integrated CRM system. What I would like to start off with is showing you, first of all, there's two ways to enter the program. One would be for anyone who enjoys using the Sage portal that comes with the system. What I'm going to do is start off with the Sage portal. The Sage portal allows any user to view basic data in the system, such as reporting. Many systems charge you for various licensing when you want to have people just look at reports. In Sage 300, when you buy the program, you actually don't get charged for someone that's just going to go in and view reports. Your basic reports, such as your receivables and payables reports, as well as your financials. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the Sage portal. The Sage portal can be run only inside of an organization. It's extremely safe and very easy to use. It runs in a web intranet, not over the internet. So I'm going to log in as the administrator, and I'm going to choose one of my many companies that I have a chance to go into, and I'm going to choose the date. My sample data is in March 15th, 2019. So all my data is in 2019 and 2020. So I'm going to sign into the system. And when I sign into the system as the administrator, I have various reports that I have set up that come up for me automatically. So in this case here, what's important to me is for me to be able to look at my receivables, my payables, and how many days things are really outstanding in my system. What are the billings I do, and what's the balance today? So what you can do is you can also see, here's your balance sheet, both your assets and your liability, and your income statement. Now this is just one way of viewing this reporting that I've set up for the demonstration purposes. You can easily add new reports. You'll also notice there's a simple getting started tool set over here where you could go in and look at various pieces of information. One additional product that comes in the portal is the ability to create queries where you can actually go in and query the database and have it display the information you want. At any time, of course, you can always import and export items. You'll notice along the top that I actually have access to the accounting system. I'm the administrator, so I have access to anything I want. So what I can do is I can actually input an accounts payable invoice from here, accounts receivable invoice. I can print invoices from here. I can take a look at the checks that I have printed out, things like that. So I have full control because I'm the administrator. As soon as I open one of these items at the top, I'm using my user license. At this point right here, while I'm viewing information, I'm actually not using any information any user license. Even when I drill in, let's say I wanted to take a look at these transactions here and actually drill into this pipe. I've got $423,000 sitting in there. I want to see what that money is because that's a good chunk of what I'm owed. So if I click on this report, I can actually see all of the payments. I'm sorry, not payments, all of the payments I'm due. So you can see here there's quite a bit of money that I can actually collect at this time. This receivables report will stay here. I can close it up by hitting the X, or maybe I want to come in and have a look at those payables that I have outstanding because I have quite a few payables sitting there ready for me to pay. So maybe I want to go look at my payables report and take a look at what I'm owed. So anytime I want to, I can drill in, I can see my amounts, and all I'm doing here is hiding my parameters so that I can see the full report. The nice thing about showing the parameters is it gives me the ability to see a little bit more information about my particular account. You'll see I have more than one page up here. Okay, I can search for it. So if I'm looking for a specific company that I owe money to, for example, Hart Batteries, if I hit the type in Hart and put the finder in, I can see that information. So very easily, as the owner of the business or the controller, I may not necessarily want to go in and input my invoices, but I have complete control over seeing this information. So that's the portal. Now, if I wanted to and I was a clerk, I can enter all my information through the portal. I could have just the items that I do. I'm going to take you into the Sage screen in a moment and show you the full-blown accounting package. This still is the full-blown. It just is a little bit easier to use in my books when you're starting out with the program and you're trying to learn things. You can go into this portal and you can add in as many pieces of information as you need to when you go into the system. It gives you a dashboard of exactly where you're at from an accounting perspective. So the next thing I might want to look at is my invoice batches. Maybe I want to input an invoice to a customer. Perhaps, actually, I understand that you're going to be importing your invoices, so you could go into here and import your invoices from your other program. We could also create a little macro for you where you click on the macro and it imports the invoices in for you. And then you could just pull up this AR batch and actually review the invoices that were just imported. So let's pretend that one invoice was just imported. I like this one because it's $43,300. So I can open up that batch and all of the invoices I just imported will actually show up in here. This also includes my revenue account, how much money I've owed, very simple screens, and the taxes that I have to pay. Unfortunately, I have to pay the government. What kind of terms did I offer this particular customer? And do I have to split this amongst different salespeople? So in this case, Bill gets 80% and David gets 20% of the sale. What is the total amount of this particular invoice? And it shows you a summary. Now, of course, you can just go into here and take a look at everything that's been input in here. Just like any Windows system, you can see there's an awful lot of fields that you have choices to input. You can print comments on your invoices or not. You can enter the comments in here. I can hide columns. So let's say, for example, I don't use this. I can just hide it. Okay? Maybe I like my revenue account to be at the very beginning. I can move it around, and the system will remember, based on my user ID, how I personally like all the columns. So as I'm using the system, I can decide what I want, and I don't have to worry about anyone else in the whole system. They can all do exactly what they want to do with it. So there's no worries at all about that. So at this point, I'm going to close this up. You can see I could print this invoice out. So if I had a really nice logo and a nice format, I could print my invoices in here. I understand you're going to keep your current process at this time, but remember, keep in mind that you can always move over to this system down the road. You'll notice I've got a customer number in here, and here's the customer's name. Now, it assumes that I know where this customer is and all that kind of information. So it's hidden the address, but the address is always there anytime I want to see that information. I can always pull that up. So I'm going to close up that batch, and this time I'm going to open up a brand new one. This is a batch system, which is exactly what you need, because you're going to want to import your invoices and then just take another quick look at it, make sure everything went in, and then it gives you that ability to approve things. So I'm just going to put in here a test for Bucky. Okay, so in here now, I can look up my customers. There's a really nice lookup screen. I can tell it I want to always look it up by customer name. Next time I go in, this finder is going to remember exactly what I clicked. So if I cancel right now and I go back in, it remembers. So if I would say that I want to have something that starts with a B, it's only going to bring up the customers that start with it. So I'm doing auto search over here. So as I type, it's finding the information in the database. So in this case, I can pull up this customer, and if it wasn't the right customer, I can create a new customer from here. And this is something that's really kind of cool. I can actually have a look at what's going on with this customer. So I can see everything about this customer with the click of a button. I can even see if I've had to print them off a refund check. Other systems, if you have to refund money to a customer, hopefully you don't have to do that, but if you do, there's quite a bit of rigmarole because you have to go from payables to receivables and all sorts of nonsense. This system lets you print a check to those customers that you would have to do a refund to. And as you can see right now, we haven't had to do that, so that's always a good thing. You can see all the receipts that were done with this customer. And of course, like you would expect, you can drill into them. So I can double click on here and I can go right to that receipt entry and I can see what was going on. I can see the history of what I've done with that customer in the past from this screen as well. So here there was a number of receipts against this one invoice. So very, very powerful. And I can even print a receipt for my customer if they so desire. If I'm in a multi-currency environment, there are rates that I can see how much currency was charged on this particular transaction. So if you did have customers in other countries and you didn't bill them in U.S. dollars, you can actually see the rates that you did bill them in. So all that information is here. I can even see the pending transactions. If I was using one of the other modules that you are not going to be using, it's called order entry. If I was going to be using that order entry module, I can actually see all the orders that were outstanding, the invoices that were outstanding, and of course any sales that had been done in the past. Here in the sales module, if I was selling products, I could see when the products were bought from that client, how many they purchased, as well as the sales and cost of sales amounts. Very, very powerful. I can see what kind of activity I do with this customer, what was the highest balance, the lowest balance. So as you can see, it's very, very intuitive to the needs that we need today. Nobody has time to be opening multiple screens all the time. We need it to go click, 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 and away we go. So in this particular case here, I can put in all sorts of information about an accounts receivable invoice. As I understand, you're going to be importing, so I'm not going to really spend too much time on this screen. And I'm going to close this up. So now what I understand you did want to see is you wanted to take a look at the accounts payable invoice entry. You'll notice I have a batch list, an invoice entry, a payment entry. There's many more choices that you can have. I can add a lot more of functionality that's in the Sage 300 product to my shortcut key list by going through here and selecting a category. So perhaps in accounts payable, I wanted to go into the accounts payable module and I want to be able to do a year end because I'm the controller. So I can drag and drop this information onto the desktop if I wanted to. Many clients use different kinds of reporting in the accounts payable module, and you're able to do 1099s and do your filing through here. You can delete inactive accounts. You can clear statistical information. And if you did retainage accounting, you can actually do retainage. If you did recurring type of payments, perhaps you have a car loan every month, you can create recurring batches and put that kind of information in. What I'm going to do, though, is I understand you want to see how payments are created. So I'm just going to grab this and I'm going to put it right over there onto my keyboard. I'm sorry, my keyboard. I'm going to put it onto my, use this form to look up payments. See, it gives you a little help there when you hit the plus sign. I wanted to just show you that briefly. Of course, I don't use this all the time, so I sometimes forget's not the right word, but it takes me a minute to remember how to do things. So I'm just going to close that up. And now we're going to take a look at accounts payable invoice entry. You're going to notice that this screen looks the same as the accounts receivable screen. So if you know one of these products, you'll be able to know all of them. I'm going to take a look at this. Now look at this error batch. The reason why there's an error batch is that the system is smart enough to know when to post things and when not to post things. So it gives you the ability to enter payables to people that have accounts on hold. Perhaps there's an invoice that somebody gave you that's for the same date and the same amount, and you have some filtering on there saying, for this particular vendor, we want to disallow anyone from posting an entry to this account if the date is the same and the amount is the same. So perhaps somebody was double billing you. Maybe you have a car lease for someone and you want to make sure that they didn't double bill you. So the system will allow you to set these kinds of restrictions, and then you can create an error batch. An error batch would be generated. So it enables you to put the information in and create an error batch, or you can actually have the system say, I'm sorry, you can't even enter this in. Most of the time, people recommend that they can enter that information in. So here's an example of an entry put into the system. And this entry I wanted to show you because I think it's really cool. This is where Sage 300 really stands out from the crowd. Many times when you are entering an invoice, you have a whole slew of general ledger accounts that you have to distribute this to. And if you do have a whole slew of them, you don't want to have to type in each one individually. So the system gives you the ability to enter what they call distribution codes. So these are little shortcut codes that remind you of what the GL account really is. So for example, G stands for gas, P stands for promotion, FRT stands for freight, etc. And then you can group all these distribution codes into what they call a distribution set. So when you choose CC2, it populates all of those accounts for you instantly. This is something that many people don't realize the system can do. I use it all the time. We have credit cards we use all the time when we're entering the credit cards information into the system. You know how you have travel and promotion and parking and, you know, meals, all the different things that you do. The system will handle it automatically. So it's very, very easy. There's a whole bunch of fields here that you can add information to. But let's say, for example, there's some fields you'll never use, like, you know, obviously retainage and job-related. These functions here will just not appear, so don't worry about that, because if you don't use retainage accounting or job costing, the system will not show them. And in this case here, there's a customize button, and this customize button is, I call it magic. So I have a profile here, and I can assign this profile saying I'm going to X you out of all these things. So I'm going to stop you from being able to delete. So notice how there's a delete button here. That delete button's gone. So the system is really, really easy to customize. Now maybe I want to have the save button gone. Now obviously we would want them to be able to save, but I'm just kind of showing you this. So it's a really easy way of being able to put information in. Now let's say, for example, I'm putting in accounts payable and I have to create the check right then and there. I can't wait for my check run. There's a prepay button, so I can go in and I can pay this, cut the check, boom, done. Easy, fast, quick. My bookkeeper is only in a couple days a week. She doesn't have time to mess around. She's in, she's out, she's gone. And if I need a check right away, I know I can get one. Okay? Now, talking about checks, I know you want me to look at more screens. There's some really cool, if you have multiple companies, products that you can add on to this. So we can talk about that later. So if I wanted to create myself a check batch, what you can do is you can click Create Check Batch, and you can go, and the system is going to automatically look through the checks that you need to pay and tell you what it needs to pay before you generate your check run. So there's something called a check register. So you would go in here and select what bank did you want to pay, what currency do you want to use, all that kind of information. Again, if you're not in a multi-currency environment, the currency wouldn't show up. Only the currency that you have would show up, and of course no exchange rates were. The sample company is a multi-currency company, and so that's why that information is popping up. Here's some information here. Maybe I want to pay everybody that's due on or before May the 31st, 2021. And maybe there's somebody I want to exclude. Maybe there's someone that I say, you know what, I don't want to pay this guy. So it's not going to pay him for us. So it's very powerful. Now I can click myself the register button, and up pops the check register very, very easily. So we're just going to wait here a minute, and our check register is going to pop up. So these are all the people that I think I should pay based on the criteria I selected. Now, the reason I chose 2021 is since it's sample data, the dates are all over the place, and I wanted to make sure that in my demos that I have lots of information to show you. If you want to jump to a specific vendor, you can click there, and it's going to take you to DECA management. If I was up here and I wanted to find out where my payment to Seattle was, I can click there, and it's going to jump right to Seattle Tacoma Bank. If I decided I wanted to take this away from me, every screen gives me the ability to export. There's Adobe, Microsoft Word, Excel, HTML, Crystal Reports, you know, comma, tab separated, rich text, everything I want. I can either have it open the application, or I can send it to a disk file, or of course I can mail it out through email. Lots and lots of choices. It's very, very easy to use. So, of course, anything's easy to use if you know how to use it, right? So once you're happy with your payments, if you needed to change some payments you wanted to make, there's a section you go into called Control Payments. Very simply, you can change the due date, or you can put the invoice on hold, or you can exclude the vendor. Lots and lots of ways to get people out. Once you're satisfied with this, the system will generate a batch for you, and it tells you it's generated payment batch 57, and then you can go in there and take a look at what is in that payment batch. So I'm just going to call up number 57, and as you can see, there's 15 entries in here. At this point, I can just print out all the checks, or I can come in here and I can say to myself, what I can do is put this information in and say, you know what, I decided I really didn't want to pay that. I really don't want to pay that. So I can go into select mode, and then I can say, you know what, I don't want to pay this after all. I've decided I don't want to pay it. Then I can go into my checks. So very easily, if somebody runs into your office and you know what, we really can't pay that invoice, there's an issue with it. You can stop the payment, away you go. So that's your basic accounts receivable and accounts payable. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Anyway, I'm recording this, and I'm usually live with people. I don't do a lot of these recordings, so you'll have to bear with me because I just need to get a glass of water here for 1 second. So then the next thing I could do is I could go in, I could print my financial reports. I can take you through those screens. Journal entries are a piece of cake. There's nothing to them. You can have the structure of your chart of accounts look any way you like. So basically there's no restrictions on your accounts. They can be up to 45 characters long with up to 10 segments. So pretty interesting way to set up your chart of accounts. There's a bunch of batches in the system already, so that I don't have to rekey data. This particular one here, you can see I can put information in, a reference, a description, an account, and believe it or not, unlike a lot of the systems I've seen, I have a whole bunch of comments I can type in here. See how fast I can type? So you can see in here, I just keep typing and typing and typing, and accounting people love this because they're so used to being restricted to that kind of information. So it also tells you if an entry is in balance. It will let you save an entry that's out of balance but not post it. So if you have one of those really long entries that's 30, 40 lines long, and for whatever reason you have to leave it, maybe there's a fire drill, your boss calls you in his office very quickly or her office, and you have to run out and you just want to save what you've done and come back to it later, you can do that. Can't post it though. If you try to post an unbalanced entry, it will not let you do that. By the way, you can have up to 99 years of data open. So you can post up to 99 years. So there's no worries about many systems only allow you this year and last year. I talk to people all the time that are small businesses, and as much as they'd like to say that they have everything under control with their year ends, many don't. So you have the ability to post to years. You also have the ability to not post to years. So you can lock periods, you can lock years, you have complete control over the general ledger. So the next thing I wanted to show you was the collection tool. So I'm going to sign out of this. I'm going to leave the page, and away I go. So I'm now out of the portal. So now I'm going to show you the CRM program that comes with it. So with this program, you get the CRM product at no charge, one user, and the server that runs it. So not a physical piece of equipment, but the server software. You can use the CRM system with anything you like. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because I know you don't want me to. I'm trying to keep this as short as possible. I was told 15 minutes, and I've already been 27, so I do apologize. But as I said, there's so much to show you. It was really hard for me to pick and choose what I should and shouldn't, so I figured if I can do half an hour, I'll just stay in here for a few minutes, and I'm just going to put in my password. I hope I remember it, and I do. So I'm going to go into the system, and I'm going to just show you quickly the dashboard that you'll get when you log into the system. It's totally customizable. So I have one that comes up that really doesn't show me anything. I was playing with it the other day, and I really didn't do anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the welcome dashboard for the administrator. And this could be all sorts of information about your company. Maybe you want to see the receivables report in here. Maybe you want to see opportunities that your salespeople have if they were entering that information in for your customers. You could actually see your opportunities here, all sorts of information. So if I go into my CRM, I can look at my calendar of tasks to do for today. You can see I'm past due on a few items that I should have done by now. I can put information into my system by just grabbing a document, and I can drop it into here and put it somewhere. I can print out my calendar. I can take a look. I can put in something really quickly. This is what I need to do today. Call Donna. I can put that information into the system, and away I go. And I've got a task put in. See? Call Donna. So now what I want to do is I'm going to take a look at the unpaid invoices I have. And what we're going to see is all those invoices that we saw in the Sage 300 product are sitting in my CRM system. I have the ability to go in here and take a look at all the calls that were made about this particular time. I can sort them. So maybe I want to say, you know what, I want to sort them by the amount that's due. So I should have gone into my single currency company because this multi-currency company, unfortunately, it's in Canadian dollars. The single currency company is in US dollars. So next time I will have to do that. But in any event, right now I'm in the company I'm in. So you can see this is the invoice that's the highest that's due. So maybe I want to start my phone calls with that piece of information. This is the amount that's due. Maybe I want to sort by that, because maybe somebody's paid me part of an invoice. So you can see in this case, the invoice was $28,000, but there's $350 that's outstanding. Well, how come that $350 hasn't been paid? That's what I usually want to know. Now, I'm not sure if there's anything documented in behind here, but you can see this. You can put disputes in here, if the payment's been sent, what's happened, all these kinds of calls. I can send an email to the person if the person's email address is in there. I can reassign this to a different clerk in my office if I had several clerks that were doing receivable calls. Maybe I want to reassign it to the sales rep and say, hey, look, you got to phone this guy and you got to look after it. So if you were using the CRM tool as a business tool, you can then have everybody in the whole organization knowing everything that's going on. Maybe I want to record an activity that I've done. So perhaps right now the person has promised me a payment. Well, why is the payment late? the changing of the banks. There's a debtor error. Maybe the check was in the mail, all those kinds of things. And you can add as many things as you want to that drop-down list. This is sample data, so that's all that's in there. So what date will the payment be sent? So I can put this in here. Okay, I'm going to send this on December, I don't know, I'll say October 31st, 2013. And how am I going to pay it? I'm going to pay it by a check, direct debit, credit card. What is the check reference? Again, that's Canadian spelling because I'm in the multi-currency company. So I can put in the reference number of the check if I wanted. If I had chosen check, let me just put check. And then here's my actual check number. And do this for all invoices for this person. Do this for all invoices for this company. So maybe I want to say that that's what's happening, and the progress note is they promised me the check will go, actually I should put it in the correct spelling, check will go out in by the end of the month. So there we go. So then we can save the entry into the system. And I've completed this. Maybe I want to create a follow-up text, follow-up to this. This is the name of the user that made the call. This is the date and time they made the call at, etc. So now at this point, I'm going to go and save it. So now I know that you can see that the stage is in progress, the payment was promised to me, and here's the check number they told me that's going in the bank. So away you go. So you can do all sorts of things. There's built-in workflow in here, so you can say, move this to the final stage now because they've promised us the check, it didn't come in the mail, and we want to go to a collection agency. Okay, so it's pretty cool. So invoice details from Stage 300 ERP. This is going to show you all the details behind this invoice. I don't know why it's not working. There we go. Sorry, I don't have any patience. You know what? I would imagine that there is none. This is sample data, so you never know what you're getting. So I do apologize that that's not there. If you'd like to see it, I can enter some, have one of my staff enter some invoices in. Actually, no, there we go. It did come in. So here's this AR invoice. This is the date of the document. This was the due date. And this is the amount they've applied to it. And of course, there's that little bit of money outstanding. This shows you the revenue that was charged to that particular account, all of the invoice details, and it shows you all of the receipts and discounts that were applied. If I wanted to, do you think I can drill into here? Say yes. I can actually drill into here. It's going to connect to the server. It's going to show me that that check and what deposit it was put in the system with. So it takes me right back to the AR receipt entry, and I can see exactly what was put into Sage 300. So we're talking about a fully integrated system. We're not talking about a system that's piecemeal. A lot of people say, oh, yes, I can, with some third-party tool, I can integrate it. This is integration. This is not me having to rekey data. This is not me having to worry about what's going on in my business. I can go into this tool and see everything about it. There's a marketing piece that comes with it, a sales piece that comes with it. And of course, what we like is the collection manager. So I could stay in this tool for another 20 minutes, but I'm trying to keep my demo short. So I'm going to log out of this product, and I'm going to make sure my little GoToMeeting icon is in the way. So what I'm going to do now is, just one second, there we go. So I'm out of there. Now, very, very quickly, if I didn't want to use the portal and I didn't want to use Sage CRM, I can go into the Sage 300 product and have access to absolutely everything without having to add those shortcuts on. So I'm going to go into the single currency company this time. You'll notice all the spelling is correct and everything will be set correctly. So when I go into here, notice how there's a yellow bar up here. If I have multiple companies, I can have each company have a different color. so that I know what company I'm in, because I'm going to forget. I've got the phone ringing. I've got all sorts of stuff. So that's a really nice feature. Maybe my main company is blue. My sub-company is yellow. I have another pink one because that's the color I like. All the different things that you can do with it. So it gives you the ability to have that information. And now I have access to absolutely everything. Absolutely everything. Now, in this case, I have every module, so you won't get inventory, but it's there. And in this case, now I can go in, I can work on the financial reporter, I can look at my general ledger trial balance right on the screen, and there's all sorts of information you can see. Now, I want to show you something. Remember how we did that journal entry? Now, these screens are very familiar to me. They aren't to you. But if I open up this batch list, I'm going to open up that batch we did over, oh, actually, I'm not going to be able to show you that because I'm in a different company. Screen's the same. So the screens are always the same. Whenever you pull up a screen, whether you're in the CRM system, you're in the portal, you're in here, it's always the same screen. There's my journal entry. Remember how we went into payables? We opened up accounts receivable, accounts payable. I went into the transactions. I opened up a batch, and this is the exact same screen that we saw when we were in the portal. I hope that this has given you a good overview as to how well integrated the system is, how you have some choices of how you want to use the system, whether it's through the portal, through the regular way, how you have a completely integrated Sage CRM with this product. And one other thing I didn't tell you is that the Sage CRM is available depending on how you do the portal. Not the portal, I'm sorry, but opening your ports, you can actually have access to the Sage CRM anywhere in the world. So you can be sitting on a beach and you can look at where your collections are at. You can look at how many sales you've done. I didn't even show you the statistical screens you see in the Sage CRM. But you can see everything about your customer. Have they paid? You can see what's happening with your vendors. You can even add the purchase order module on if you want to start giving purchase orders out and put a purchase order in right through the CRM system. Lots and lots of power. I sound very excited. I've been doing this for 30 years. I love the product. Companies ask me to resell their products all the time. This is the only product that I see that's affordable in the mid-market that's been integrated for over 10 years. So that means you have 10 years of integration going on and on. Please don't think I'm in sales mode. I'm just excited about the product. I hope that you've enjoyed the demonstration, and I look forward to any questions that you may have. It's Gail Wilson. I can quickly show you who I am so that if you want, you can see who I am. Now, you probably don't want to see my picture with my son in Paris, but anyway, I can show you who I am, and I'm just going to close all these various pieces that I have open so that you can see who I am. There we are. I should have shown you this at the beginning of the demo. But I wish you a good day, good night, good afternoon, whatever time it might be while you're listening to this demonstration. Eventually, my picture will come up. As you can see, I have a million things open at the bottom. So perhaps it opened up into another screen, which does happen. I'm one of those people who has two screens that they open all the time. So there I am. I wish you a very good night, afternoon, morning, and I look forward to answering all your questions. Bye for now.